One of the changes that they made here in the latest patch is that the jump causes you to lose stamina. You can see the stamina bar going down greatly every time I jump, and that makes you unable to use your bow, and when you're not able to do that, it makes you much weaker, and you're also not able to engage in melee. Alright, there's two things that you're going to want to concentrate on as an archer: leading your target like this, and the other one is arrow drop, where I'm using the projectile camera to show you an overemphasis of what I'm actually trying to achieve, and this can be done using the camera, just clicking on off real quick to see where you're going. But you don't have to use it. One of the main things you're going to have to watch out for if someone's actively engaging you is they're going to try and duck your arrow. I'll show you here what it looks like coming out the other end, where I'm going to duck under this arrow that's coming at me. And you're going to want to try and hit people that are actively engaging you, because that part won't miss with the arrow when they try and duck. When you're coming around a corner, you want to make sure that your body is exposed as little as possible, so that way you can angle yourself so you can scan across little parts of the room, so that way there's not a huge exposed area that you're going to have a possibility of many people being in. So that this way, instead of me being standing here in the middle like this with this whole hallway looking at me, I could scan across, and I killed everyone moving piece by piece until I can get to the huge exposure where I now know I'm safe, because I have everybody that's in the way that could possibly get me. If you can, try and pull the aggro off of an enemy on your friend and be as defensive as possible. That way that you can fool and feint the other guy into attaining concentrated on you. That way your friend can get the most damage done with a huge payoff on his high damage dealing. Contrary to popular Vanguard belief, you can actually use the own Vanguard smoke against him, where you can come out, pop, hide back into the smoke, and engage him again with much less health. Here's a crossbow user here who's not angle scanning and just standing in the middle of the walkway, so he gets it from every single direction. What you want to do is help your teammates out and get those assists, person who's the most damaged, or an archer that you can one. That way there's a much better chance of your teammates surviving. If nothing else, if you're caught underwears, you can always just duck under it, and there's a chance that you might be able to dodge it. When someone's moving around a lot, try and feel like you're walking in their shoes. If they back up, usually that means they're going to go straight back, and they're not going to go anywhere, so straight in their face. If two people's paths are about to cross, it's usually best to try when they intersect. I'm going to knock out the Vanguard and make that 3v1 a 1v1. Then I try that man-at-arms to help out the other guy who's becoming a 2v1. Then I hear a Vanguard spin real quick, him, knock him out, and that way I maximize my damage to allow the team to survive as best as possible. Now, when you're a two-hander, any long two-hander, you want to try and bring them into this close environment where they're going to have a hard time. If you're not quite sure where your arrows are going when you're really, really far away, you might want to consider using the projectile camera just so you can see where you're. Just make sure you remember that mark where you're previous, so that you can make your good land. As it is with kicking people, it also makes it really difficult for Vanguards to make their target if there's differences in elevation. And usually whenever you hit somebody and you don't them, you have to keep in mind that they usually instills with them a rage that is unquenchable, where they will find you and they will not only you but your entire family and squish your babies. So make sure you're ready for that when it comes to when they come to seek retribution upon your soul. Hold back and wait on shielded opponents when they're fighting somebody else, so that when they look to block it from someone else, you can land in your arrow. Probably one of the hardest things to do for an archer is to guess where someone's going to be, because especially when you're another archer, this is the most important part, because they're going to be dodging back and forth, and you want where you think they're going to walk to. When you're arching in an open spot, you want to make sure you're aware of your surroundings completely, because arrows can come at you from any direction. Especially if you're hiding in a window or something as well, you want to make sure that you're paying attention, because people are looking to you in those places, because it's obviously that you're going to be there, because most of the time people do go there because they don't know what they're doing. Usually it's best to a crossbow archer when they're about to come out of their animation rather than when they're going down, because they move a lot when they do the up and down part of it, so you're going to miss more often than not. So try and wait to the last end part of it, or try them in the hips when they're in the animation itself. Try and position yourself more strategically if you're being chased by someone so you can get off an arrow. And if you are going to use obvious places to hide, make sure you're not sticking out of them, because people will show you exposed parts and you'll think you're safe and you'll get an arrow in your face. On men-at-arms, there's a brief moment before they raise their shield where the top of their face is really vulnerable to arrows. Here's a crossbow user, reloading animation, and their stun moment, and they're dead. Here's that jump that can get you over obstacles and hide you from being shot for just a brief moment, just so you can get your arrow in. You know, crossbows were really threatening in that brief month or so where they're really fast, but they suck. Like, the way it is, they just horrible. Anyone who uses it just gets done by any decent bow person. Because like 2 or 3 times, I think, almost 3 times, I'm not sure, maybe 4 times, before someone who could their crossbow. It's just, there's just no point. The damage per second is just much higher. Just stop using crossbow unless you're planning to like defend something like a waypoint where you're defending down a narrow hallway. Other than that, you're really not gonna do any better using that one. You know, it does more damage, but it actually, over the amount of time that I can arrows, it does not do more damage. I mean, the only good crossbow might be the one that's faster, but you know, you're sacrificing a lot more speed for just a little bit more damage, so you're better off just using the bow. And even then, I still only use the cloth arrows. I don't use the bodkins or whatever those are. You can see here on this guy, I'm watching his pattern to see where he walks, and then I'm going to shoot at the end of the pattern, and it worked just fine. You want to make sure that you're not using the same point so much that it becomes predictable, because if you're just going the same static point over and over, people are just going to guess that you're going to go there and shoot in the face. Also, knights are very tough. They eat arrows for breakfast. They're like made of juggernaut, and they don't very easily, so be prepared for that. Only newbie archers stand still. When people are trying to do serpentine path on you, you're going to try and hit them at the turning points, because that's when they're least in motion. You're most likely to land a successful. Now in these next few clips, I'm just going to kind of shut up and show you guys how all this time leading and everything goes together without actually showing you the camera projection thingy. Go. Even if smoke's being used against you, like before, you can use it defensively. You can shoot other archers who aren't expecting you to do it, and they think they're safe, when you can usually do and see their white hats or red hats or whatever they might have hat-wise. A tactic I found useful on occasion is I actually get behind the enemy lines or between the switch of the 2 different objectives. You can get behind these lines here, and you get enemy archers who are going to be stationary and that stuff. You just want to be careful and quiet and let people pass. That way you're not anybody other than in one shot. Because otherwise people will chase you and you'll have to run all the way back here just to avoid people hearing your clash. So that way they won't come and bum rush you all together in a huge group.
Of course not.
Always, whenever you're discovered by one person, he's going to always keep coming back until you're see body here, and now they've been discovered, and other people can hear this, so they're going to come over to the area to investigate, even if we do win. best you can do is try and draw them away, but those bodies are there and people are going to see them, and there's not really much you can do at this point. And lastly, I think the most important part of this is to make sure you keep the appropriate distance, allow people who are melee to be in front of you, and then you can between them or over their backs. You take out enemy archers if you knock out the buildings they're in. It was 4. We'll find out. It was 4. Yes!